good news, everyone.
Then where are we now?
Do you have idiots on your planet?
You're obviously confused.
It's me, Zoidberg, remember, from high school?
Hello, you're listening to the Slurmcast, a podcast for no reason. Today we will be discussing Futurama Season 1, Episode 9, Hell is Other Robots, with your hosts, Tommy Roulette.
Hello.
Pete Woodward.
That's me.
And I'm Rick Horchie. Today our very special guest is my very good friend, Dan Holahan. How you doing, Dan?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me, guys.
We're really excited to have you.
That's one word for it.
We're really excited to have you,
You
Dan.
you can hear it in our voices.
Oh, it's
how
like
manic,
junior high all over again.
manic and amped up we are.
We're about to throw pig's blood on you.
That's what that hole in the ceiling is for.
Oh, yeah, we always look at that hole.
I thought that was from an errant board game night.
No, that was the stain on the rug.
Oh, right.
What kind of board games are you playing?
Don't
Don't say Twister. If you were playing Twister and there was a stain on the rug after,
No.
you're doing it right.
Involved an Argentinian and a big glass of red wine.
It was the red wine and Coke.
No,
No, it was.
no.
Because that was the night that I said that was the horchiest drink I've ever seen in my life.
No.
Oh, yeah, that would be...
No,
that
this
would
was
be
the
my kind of
midwinter
drink.
game night, and it was just straight up red wine. And
I was here.
I know you were.
Okay.
And then Ed knocked a glass of red. It was like a solo cup full of red wine out of my hand, and it spilled all over the carpet. And then I discovered this magical stuff called Folex.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever get a stain, this is a completely unsponsored plug, but this stuff is the best stuff I've ever encountered for getting stains out of things.
I've never heard of it. Also, I
You-
like stains.
You wouldn't. They have like no advertising budget. It's called Folex, and it takes out
Mom's friendly
Folex.
blood, wine, fecal stains, vomit. I mean, you name it. It's a pretty remarkable product.
Nuclear
Available at a
blast,
Rite Aid near you.
Nuclear blast shadows on the wall.
Very possibly. I haven't had one of those in this house yet.
So Dan, we've been friends for a long time, and we've
Enemies
also
for
been,
longer.
It's coming up on 20 years.
Yeah, we are.
Probably is 20
It
years.
is. We're at 20 years
Yeah.
now. I was 14 when I met you, so yeah, that's disgusting.
When he tried to get you into the van.
No,
No, actually,
that was Matt Slider.
Yeah. So during the course of our friendship, well, actually, we were friends before this show came out, which is you. So far, you've been the only person that's been on here that I can say that about. During the run of that show, we spent a lot of time watching it together. We were both big Futurama fans, and you're one of my main Futurama go-to quote friends that, whether it's on social media or in person or texting each other, we have a shorthand for Futurama where we can pretty much answer any question with a Futurama quote. Would you agree to that?
Yes.
All right, good answer.
I was trying to think of a Futurama quote and nothing came. Sorry.
That's all right. I've never even seen that show.
Oh, Pete, I actually researched and looked up the alien language this time.
Beautiful. In the intro credits?
There's actually 3 of them.
Oh, no kidding.
2 of them, they're so quick, I don't know how I couldn't even pause it with watching it, but the first is at 9 seconds, and it says Renahuman.
Oh.
Then around 14 seconds, it says 3D Rules with a Z. And then 15 seconds is the one that we always can actually see, and that says Tasty Human Burgers.
You're talking about in the intro.
In the actual, the beginning, the cartoon.
I'm glad you finally did those translations. That really makes up for the anchovies.
Yeah, it wasn't hard. I just Googled alien translation and
More
beginning
effort.
of Futurama.
More effort than I was going to put into it, so well done.
Yeah, it was good. And Betty Boop is the cartoon at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you guys noticed
That was
You know,
the first
Betty
one
did.
that was recognizable to me.
Betty Boop was I think my sexual awakening.
We
When I
just talked about that on the last episode. Why did that come up? Were we talking about old cartoons or something? Yeah, we had a
We
conversation
always,
about.
I think every
Yeah, because we were talking
episode.
about the intro cartoons, and somehow Betty Boop came up. It wasn't a Betty Boop cartoon, and we were talking about just depravity in some of the 40s and 50s cartoons, all
Yeah.
the drinking and whatever. And yeah, same thing. I don't know, as a 5-year-old or 6-year-old or whatever, there'd be a Betty Boop cartoon, and I was just like, oh, then I saw like a 3D creation of her or whatever, and she looks like a weird alien.
That's what I was going to ask. Is those photorealistic paintings that people do of like cartoon? In fact, I think there's a Futurama one where Zoidberg looks like terrifying.
I've seen that.
Has anybody done that for Betty Boop? So you've seen something
I've seen
like
the
it,
Betty Boop one, and it was
like a rendering.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, that's what she would look like if she was a person.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the hydrocephaly. I mean, because her head is so like bulbous on top, and then it narrows down into like a weird face. It looks like a gray, but with like a pretty great figure.
Because
the gams on that one.
Her head is kind of a sideways or a horizontal oval with like two big crazy. Oval. Yeah,
like Stewie or something.
Oh. Yeah.
On that
but
show,
it's shaped more like a pill or like a boombox or something like that.
I think that's probably what they were going for.
Yeah,
I wanted to have a boombox head.
They didn't have boomboxes back then.
But I think they had boomboxes. It's just that boomboxes weren't what
you had a radio that was half the size of the living room. Come to my Sonikifier and let's listen to FDR. Tell us what's going on.
I bet there was a term.
That was an annoying voice. I'm never going to do that voice again.
I bet there was a term boombox back in
old-timey voice.
That old-timey
No, I can do
period.
better. Hello, well, whatever.
Maybe it referred to some kind of a juke joint, perhaps a brothel.
I wish I had a juke joint.
But that place was a real boombox.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think
maybe.
That gal had a great set of gams, and she's a real boombox. Exactly.
Yeah.
She's got a shape to her.
Then it got co-opted in the 80s to just mean a large, uncomfortable, and impractical radio.
Mm-hmm.
But it was portable.
That's the nickname I have for my butthole.
Anything's portable if you got enough people in a big enough truck.
That's the nickname for my butthole, the boombox.
We call it something else.
The boombox.
If you had lived with him, you would also call it the boombox.
So, Tom, if you had to sum up this episode briefly, how would you describe it?
Bender gives into the temptation of drugs.
Dan, I am so glad that you're the guest on this anti-religion episode. I was watching it last night, and I'm just like, this is perfect.
I hate this episode so much.
Really?
It is
what the hell is wrong with you?
No, it is the one that I skip
would you even
all the
say
time.
it's anti-religious? It's just
boring and dumb.
Except
I disagree. I think there's a lot of
This
funny
is the
parts
one.
of the episode.
Like,
There's a lot of. Go ahead.
I have owned the DVDs for probably like 10 years, and whenever I watch season 1, this is an episode that I skip. Always.
Really?
Because when you first told me we were doing this episode, I thought it was The Devil's Hands or Idle Playthings.
Yeah, which is way better.
And I was really excited about it, and then I was like, and then I looked at it, I was like, oh.
really, that's my least favorite episode.
I like that one more than I like this one.
Let me ask you, watching it this week or whatever to get ready for this, did you change your mind at all? Or were you like, nope, yeah, I don't like
well, I watched it twice so that I would have something to talk about.
Well,
and I, like, both times I had to, like, make myself finish it.
take off your headphones. Pete, shut his microphone off. You can come back for another episode. All right, good night, everyone.
I think we're having that same issue that we've come across in season 1 so far, where this is just really blah.
Here's my thing.
It's the
Here's my
weakest
thing.
episode of a weak season.
Okay. I don't
'Cause it's
agree
a
that
Bender-driven
I don't agree that
episode.
it's the weakest.
Yes.
Finally, somebody to agree with Tom and I about Bender not being a great focal point for the show. He's the Lisa of the show, or even the Marge. Like, oh, great, a Marge episode. Even though some Lisa episodes, like the vegetarian one, turn out to be amazing sometimes.
You don't make friends with salad.
Yes. Just ask this scientician.
Yes. Three of the 4 of us have degrees from Bovine University.
Pete, you've said, when are we going to get to an episode that, now the show found its footing and it's amazing, and it's not there yet. But honestly, out of this is the 8th episode. For me,
This is the 9th episode.
Yeah.
9th.
oh crap!
It's the last episode of the first season.
According to Netflix, this is the first episode of the 2nd season.
You watched MASH again, didn't you?
Can't get enough of that Loretta Swit.
Is that Hot Lips Houlihan?
Yes.
Oh, okay. The Smurf
Well,
head of
that's-
MASH. Yeah, you're right. I don't know
That's
why.
also what we call Dan behind his back.
Lives Holahan.
behind my back.
No, come on. We got the episode starts out with the Beastie Boys.
Okay,
Which
let me
is
just.
the worst misuse of the Beastie Boys you could have in a TV episode.
They only got 2 of them too.
What?
Yeah, it's only 2.
yeah.
MCA. That's
If
why
you
he
watch-
looks weird. Is that why?
If you watch the credits, he's
He-
not there.
He had scheduling conflicts.
And if they
so
did
was
it
just-
today, he wouldn't.
yeah, it was
be able
just
to do
Mikey
either.
and
Oddly
Rock.
prescient. Another time where they were, they saw the future. I thought the squatting like dancers were kind of weird. I
You
mean,
think
I
that was
get
funny?
it.
Like when they do puppet shows, like The Lion King on Broadway.
Yeah.
where they have the,
Yeah, but it would almost make more sense to have them decked out in like Adidas tracksuits or something.
Yeah, but they had to get that effect of. Well, okay, but that would have worked too. That would have been pretty funny. Here, okay, I won't.
Or even robot. Like, why not robots? Why not stick them on a robot body?
They've
for
done
the-
that
for performance sake.
They do that later. There's a really great episode with Nixon that does that. I don't think I'll have the like. I think it's just me for this, and I could do a whole podcast about an episode about the Beastie Boys. But I'm really excited about this now at 34 and back then in 1999 when it came out, because that was one of my favorite bands coming.
In 1999 or so, that was like one of everybody's favorite bands.
Yeah, I know, but that's not true though. I know a lot of people. It's definitely split down the middle of people that grew up on the Beastie Boys and love them, and people that are like, I hate them. They were cheesy. They weren't real hip hop. They were too white.
It's a revisionist history, is what that is. They were huge.
Yeah,
busting,
they were.
and busting at a.
See,
busting
I
rhymes
hated
at an
all those
80%
jokes. Like
rate.
even
That
when
all
in
of
19
those bugged the hell out
in
of me.
1999 when I was watching that show as a teenager. They were doing that, and I'm like, this is lame. And I was watching it last night, and I'm like, this is lame.
All of the jokes about the Beastie Boys are lame. Most of the jokes in that episode are lame.
The one thing I liked was the fisheye lens they did on the one animated shot, like in their videos.
That was funny, yeah. Dude,
I mean, that was a nice
Beastie Boys
touch,
lens.
but the barbershop sabotage.
no, that was okay.
You know,
I was okay
I guess
with that.
the writers originally wanted them to do "Fight for Your Right to Party,"
yeah.
but they didn't want to do that.
Oh,
so
good.
they did
That
Sabotage.
whole album is stupid.
You're out of your mind.
And jumping into the mosh pit and like with
Yeah.
now just moshing with Bender, that seems dumb
Yeah.
to begin with. But
Man, and Leela is terrible at it. She's
But-
one of those people.
and the
Yeah,
rest
she was a skinhead
of
in the mosh pit.
the rest of the audience, I mean, I thought the whole thing was supposed to be like everybody's just sitting there genteelly, except for Fry, who's like dancing like an idiot, and all of a sudden, like there's this whole general admission section in the middle that's going bonkers. It just
Well, it's just where their seats were. They didn't get general admission seats.
until they jumped the fence.
Right.
I mean, I was more impressed with Bender's like squirty beer tap inside his magical chest cavity than I was with any other part of that whole segment.
Watching that
That
part, I immediately thought of you because I was like,
You're
oh,
like,
Pete's
here
going to
comes-
enjoy
yeah.
this because you
there's-
want
now I'm looking for
how
those things.
handy Bender is.
Dan, let me ask you this: Futurama, the entire series, has a lot of just super cheesy jokes, and we quote some of those. They're some of our favorites. This episode, yeah, definitely had a lot of them. A lot of just like lame, where like Hermes will say something like, "Oh, that is the whatever," and it's some bad pun or something like that.
No, Hermes
Do you
was
like-
great in this episode.
What was his?
Well, because he kept talking about green snakes and
Yeah, but
sugar
sugar
cane.
Oh, that was
cane.
great.
Yeah,
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 For,
Let
for
me-
no, I mean that was just like him. It was almost like him trying to come up with a Poochie catchphrase on purpose.
But let me ask this question, Dan. Do you like those kind of jokes on Futurama? Like, would you say that? Do they bug you generally, or is it just this episode?
I don't mind the cheesy jokes on the show because I feel like most of the time those cheesy jokes are self-aware. Like a lot of the ones you get
Yeah.
from Zap Brannigan or even from any of the characters, like the writers are aware that the jokes are cheesy, but they work because they're coming from the characters.
Okay.
I feel like most of the cheesy jokes in this episode, they just didn't know how to make jokes about hip hop,
Yeah.
or
Ye-
the robot devil.
Yeah, that stuff.
Because they just had a bunch of nerds writing
Right.
episodes.
Yeah.
But I also feel like
I feel like
Actually, Eric Kaplan wrote this episode.
those jokes. I feel like those would be the same jokes that would be written now. So
Yeah, but I feel like Tom is right. It's like it's nerds trying to write jokes about hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they're
they
like,
all
oh, this is
fall on their face.
yeah, we didn't know
they
how
are
to.
all
And
cheesy,
this
but
is
not
the
in a
only
good way.
Yeah.
hip hop we knew was the Beastie Boys, and
Right.
you know, yeah.
I did what I wanted to figure out because it didn't make any sense.
Why?
Oh God, I hope we can all figure it out together. Go ahead, Pete.
Why in the backstage area? And I'm jumping ahead because I did like Fender the robot. That was dumb, but I enjoyed that.
You guys have talked, and so far at this point, there's only been 2 episodes that I've heard. You guys talk about when Bender when they go to the moon.
Yeah.
And Bender meets a guy he went to high school with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were like, why does he go to high school with this guy?
We
He's a
didn't
bending
say
robot.
that. That was Pete, but go ahead.
that was me.
Well, but then so he meets Fender, who he also knows from high
Yeah.
school.
Yes.
Oh
And
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
And it just doesn't make sense.
Do they ever go to the robot high school?
I feel like they
They-
show Bender getting his diploma, and he
Yeah.
literally gets plugged in.
They
and
show
hand
his
him a diploma.
origin twice.
It's
and
later
they
on.
contradict each other later. We'll get to
Beautiful. Okay.
that. So the high school thing doesn't, but it's not supposed to. It's just you're new to the show. You're in the 9th episode, and Bender keeps mentioning high school, and you're like, oh, what's the robot high school like? You know? And
Yeah,
it's fun.
that would
It's a
be a
fun-
good. That would
To
be better
fair,
than this episode.
He did go to Bending College, so maybe
Okay,
there's like a
alright.
general robot high school, and then they go on to
Possible.
their
They get their actual functionality.
yeah.
What I was getting at was that once they get backstage because of Fender the robot taking them back, the Beastie Boys' heads are not in water tanks. They're just sitting out in the open air on a table.
The heads can survive for a short period of time outside of their.
We would assume.
Like
yeah.
How short a period of time?
Again, more stuff. That
I
they
don't
It's
go
not like
into.
it's not like they'd
David
be
X.
getting
Cohen,
sweaty.
if you're listening, will you please tweet
and
at
you know
us,
what?
tweet at Pete
you know what?
Woodward.
As long as we're at it, here's another
Or at
piece of
Slurmcast.
disbelief I couldn't suspend. When a head is in a
You had to suspend some disbelief for this show about
Yes.
a guy that travels 1,000 years into the future and hangs out with a one-eyed mutant and a lobster creature. Go ahead.
at this point, she's still an alien. Thank you. Why
Good,
is it
good.
when the
You got me,
head
you got me.
is in the water jars or whatever the solution is? Why isn't their voice all like they talk clear as day?
You don't know what head in a jar technology
ask
is like
Ron
in the
Popeil.
31st century.
Yeah,
I know it's
Ron
I know it's
Popeil, yeah.
inside a wet. I can stick your head in a bucket and you can talk to me.
Maybe they have a little voice decoder in the jar.
I'm sad they never did a Tom York head in the jar.
So the safest way for these writers to tackle drug use in this cartoon was to have a robot do it by being able to be plugged in.
So
and then
did
calling
you-
it jacking on.
Yeah,
you
so they
think
still
of
use
the-
the sex pun.
Did you think of the Dan? Did you think of the electricity as pot, heroin, or just kind of like a mix of just drugs in general?
I thought of it as heroin.
Okay, that's how
But
I
they
did
were
too.
doing it out of like a hookah
Like
almost.
Yeah.
but that was just their like universal like drug use. you
But
know.
why did Bender have a port in his skull already for the? I mean, it was a guitar cable basically, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've never done this before.
Wait,
Here's my
whoa.
hardware interface."
So the port in his head bugs you, but the little one-use beer machine
No,
in
that
his
bugs
stomach.
him too.
No, that bugs me, and that's been a recurring theme because Bender
Good job, Pete.
Bender has a magical chest cavity. That is, we've likened to the TARDIS in that it
Just
seems
go
like
watch
it's got
The
a whole
Wire,
lot of
all
stuff
right?
in there. There were lines like when they walked into the backstage after party with the jacking on going on. He's like, "There's no booze and only one hooker." I mean, that's
that was a good Bender line. You know,
Yeah.
that was-
I also liked when he said, "I think this is countermanded by my user manual."
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
it
That
is.
was good.
And everyone laughed at him, and I was like, "That's what it was like when I went to parties."
That was robot peer pressure right there.
Yeah.
So Bender hangs out with his buddy Fender, starts abusing electricity,
Jacking on.
jacking on. Hermes is trying to figure out who's been abusing electricity.
Well, when
and who does he
when
point
Bender
to? Was it Zoidberg?
Well, yeah,
or-
it's Zoidberg. When Bender jacks on, his eyes go kind of crazy psychedelic.
Yeah.
I like that effect.
Yeah.
And Hermes has it out for Zoidberg.
He's so
for sure.
mean to Zoidberg in
know.
this episode.
Yeah, but everyone's mean to him.
Yeah.
And we're getting there. You know, we're getting to know how that relationship that everyone has with Zoidberg.
And you know what? They did it kind of out of sequence. So they went looking. Bender went and jacked on again, taking Fry with him to the dirty neighborhood. I liked the travel tube that had like garbage and the homeless guy in it.
That is the thing that I fixated most on in this episode because it reminded me of like a homeless guy sleeping on the subway.
Yeah, it was very odd. But when they went into that that neighborhood
Sparky's
for Bender to
Den?
jack on,
That's it.
called?
Yeah.
it was weird, and I liked that they finally brought it back, and Hermes had it out for Zoidberg. Poor Zoidberg.
Then the preacher bot gets introduced in this episode as well.
Yeah, which is a big reoccurring character. Bender goes. He sees the Church of Robotology. He goes up to the top of the neon sign and plugs himself into it, and then feels kind of ashamed a little bit, and then looks down into the church, and he.
You're getting way off.
Yeah, you're way, 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 way ahead of yourself.
I'm just talking about where he falls out of the Sparky's den and the preacher bot's there and he has the good book.
Oh, okay.
3.0.
Yeah.
Which is a
floppy
3x5 floppy.
Yeah.
With the save icon,
Which
It's
is
a
which
sa-
is
it's a
another
save
great
icon.
Yeah. Another great
It's just like it's an awesome example of how rooted in the 90s this vision of
Yeah.
gesture
Yes.
is. Because at this point, like CD-ROMs already existed,
They were
But-
the wave of the future.
but like the little robot preacher in 3001 is still using a floppy.
This
a
is
nerd
the
joke.
point.
It was a call. It was hey.
It wasn't a nerd joke. America Online was still sending those out
in
at
99?
that point.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay.
This is the part in the episode where I made my Fry is so dumb note because he was with Bender jacking on, and when Hermes is complaining about the electricity, like just totally like no idea, like couldn't put it together. And then with the good news, everyone, that whole jag with the professor was nice with the crate of subpoenas going to Sicily 8.
Yeah, that was good.
And
Oh, and Fry's joke about the Don was pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
About it.
did he use a tongue?
Don
A little
so and so
bit.
said he was giving me the kiss of death,
yeah.
but I still think he was gay.
Yeah.
And so when they're going to the electrical storm, and Fry's afro is one of my favorite parts of the show.
Really?
Anytime they do it a few other times, but
Yeah.
I love that he gets that afro.
He's like,
and
what did he
he's
say?
just-
He's like, I feel funny or something like
Yeah.
that.
No, that was like one of his first line when it comes back on
Oh, really?
Comedy Central.
It was one of my biggest disappointments in this episode, of which there were many. The electrical storm was kind of, lame graphically compared to the stink lines on the big pile of garbage in the previous episode. Like the stuff going on with the big piece of garbage and the nebula stuff around it was really cool looking, and this is just like almost Hanna-Barbera
they probably
animation.
blew all their budget on the
piece
hell
of garbage.
On the Beastie
like-
Boys, on 2/3 of the Beastie Boys.
Half if you count
they
Money Mark.
negotiated since it's just going to be your heads in jars.
Yeah.
We don't have to pay you the full price.
Yeah, just about 20% of your body mass. So
You can literally phone it in.
So Bender has a big realization.
Did you
when
notice
he-
though before when Amy was jackhammering off and he slid down?
Yeah.
there was the box of robot
yeah,
thighs
yeah.
and legs.
Yes.
there.
I like that it was robot legs and thighs, like just in case there was anyone looking at it, like, well, yeah, but his thighs melted too, not just his legs.
I thought it was more.
But Pete would have been the guy writing into what?
No,
what did
I-
we? But
That-
Mr.
if you
Graney,
go to-
in
like,
episode 09.
when you order
to, like,
chicken,
what did we
you
used
get
to-
legs and thighs. That's
like
why it was funny.
A Futurama message board in 1999. That would have been you writing into that.
No, there was, like-
the message board you'd go to, and it would just be
there was
text
like,
with like a little
two
GIF at the
message
top.
boards I logged into in 1999, and one of them had nothing to do with Futurama.
Was it X Files?
No, it wasn't about.
Was it
television.
music?
Yes,
What was the music? Was it
was-
Faith No More?
it was all.
Was it all?
Of course it was all.
Yeah.
Okay.
That spawned a whole. That was a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how. Yeah, we don't need to
that
go
all
there.
central board.
Yeah, oof. Have I got stories?
That's how you ended up playing with the Beastie Boys. That's a great story.
That's how I wound up playing with all.
Uh huh.
At least on the same bill.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Me too.
yeah, so
Tom
did Dan.
too.
Tom too. Odd man out is Horchie.
Not me.
Oh,
You probably didn't even know what was going on.
Nope.
You're probably to sneak into bars in West Park.
No, I was
In 2003?
2003?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been like 21 or something.
You still would have been trying to sneak in. Just on principle.
So Fry has a realization when he, puts everyone in danger.
Bender.
Say that again?
Which guy is that? So Bender has a realization when he puts everyone in danger on the Planet Express and steers the ship into the electrical storm so he can jack on to the immense electricity. He looks like he has a really good time, and honestly, when he did that, and like
you wanted to jack on too.
I was just like, oh man,
all over the front of that ship.
I just wanted to do heroin, so then I did. And I actually have to go now because I need to fix. I'll see you guys.
I don't think he has a realization at first because he leaves and then he just goes on top of the robot church.
Well, it's setting in. Like that's a step towards it. It's
this
his
is where
friends all
you're-
hate him now. They're all mad at him.
But that's
They give
not
him that
him
look.
hitting bottom.
No,
It's the
no,
scene
no. But it's
at the church where he literally falls through the roof of
Yeah.
the church and hits the bottom
Yeah.
of the church.
Man, he's an adult male robot. He can
But
do
when he came back,
make his own choices.
and they started enumerating all the awful things he'd done, and so that was a good Zoidberg line of. I didn't catch all of them, but one of them was that he had started a robot pornography ring, and then Zoidberg was like, "And that's why we loved you."
Oh, yeah.
The Temple of Robotology, the symbol is that the resistor sign.
Yeah.
What do you think it means?
Resisting temptation.
Yes. It's also the letter G in the alien code, too.
Oh, weird.
So it could
One of my
stand for
favorite
God.
lines at the Church of Robotology is when the robot preacher says something and one of the robots gets up and he's like, "That equals truth."
Yes, I put that in too. That was good. I have a note in here that says robot preacher was who like Hoover, so autocorrect did it again. I have no idea what
Hoover?
that means.
Oh, were you trying to say Jesse Jackson or something?
No,
Like when he says "hoo-ah."
Oh, that's exactly it.
Is that what you're talking
When
about?
he says he says the word who,
Right.
WHO,
Right.
like Danny DeVito says whore.
Whore.
Hooah. On,
Oh, I thought you were thinking of.
on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It was just it changed it to Hoover. That makes sense. It was
Mrs.
just
Hoover.
a funny affectation. But then coming out of that, it was more Hermes on Zoidberg's ass, which I loved, where they were going to get rid of the
Eliminated.
cold saltwater tank. And he's just on this witch hunt for our poor lobster doctor.
And we're starting to find out that he's the schlub of the group, and So Bender joins the Church of Robotology.
It was not a
Gets-
scam to get free yarmulkes.
No, but that's the thing. Like, this is one of the few times his character at any point tries to be good, and like for a somewhat long period of time, longer than one of his like little good heart of gold moments or whatever. And he takes everyone out to Elzar's restaurant, which is now we're finding out that
After his
this early-
exceedingly long and unair conditioned robot baptism.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
Now that resonated with me because I've suffered through many a Catholic wedding.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, yeah.
And it's,
we all grew up Catholic
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this room.
And it, if you get into those old churches where before they had an air conditioning budget and in the middle of the summer, and it's just brutal. And my my daughter's school for the last 2 years was a decommissioned Catholic school that was just being used temporarily, and it had still the radiator heat and no air conditioning. It just gave me like flashbacks of horrible memories of just sweating balls.
Supposed to put the fear of God in you.
It's not the fear of God. If anything, it's like hellish conditions going like there's nowhere I would rather be less than this hot room.
You better love God very hard then.
or you're going to a place just like that, human hell. So yeah, they go
Is
to
that different? Like, so is there a dog hell?
yes, absolutely.
No, man.
Yeah.
All dogs go to heaven.
Haven't oh shit, Dan's read his Bible, you guys. He knows.
But if all of them go, here we get into that sort of argument.
There
of
are
if you
no
need to
bad
have-
dogs, Pete. Just bad owners. Just like Pokemon.
Is that how that worked?
I think so. It's been a long time. I stopped watching when there were still only 150.
What about Cujo?
Cujo was infected by evil.
Yeah, and it was a bad
actually,
owner
I think it was rabies.
because his owner did not pay attention whatsoever and could have caught that way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What about Poochie?
Get your dogs checked out for evil. That's the lesson here.
What about
Poochie isn't
Poochie?
evil.
Poochie's not evil. He went back to save his home planet.
I didn't say anything about dogs being evil. You just said all dogs are good.
Well, you were about to say.
No.
What
you
about
said there
the
are no
bad
bad dogs?
Because I know you.
yeah.
So I said there are no bad dogs.
So if there are any
only
dogs
good
listening,
owners.
What about the
They're not
big
bad.
dog on the back of the big dog T-shirts?
That is the best dog. I guarantee you, he's a good cuddler.
what about
He is the best big spoon.
what about that
you'll
one
ever
time
see.
that Clifford accidentally stepped on all those people?
It was unintentional,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Clifford's not a bad dog.
They really should.
I have to do story times
Man.
for children now, Tom.
Imagine if
I
Clifford
know
got
Clifford's
rabies.
a good dog.
Who would stop him?
I mean, it really does come back to Clifford's owners because they had just spayed him like Bob Barker told him to. I'm sure he wouldn't have grown to gigantic proportions.
Is that part of your job description? You have to read to kids?
Yeah, because I'm at a library where
Wow,
I'm
librarians truly are the real heroes, you guys.
Shut up.
All right, fine. So we can get away.
Do you
from
ever
dog
start to read to the kids and then just put Netflix on and go like, "Hey, have you guys seen this episode of this?"
Only when it's Orange is the New Black.
Thanks.
It's got good lessons. They should come away with that.
It's the only way they're going to learn.
So Elzar's Fine Cuisine.
Yeah, so
Or as my iPad says, Elzar's Fine Quinine.
Huza or whatever. So yeah, they Bender takes them all out to dinner. They go to Elzar's restaurant.
But Elzar doesn't show up.
No, we don't see him, but he exists in the universe. We know he's.
Do you see the owner of a restaurant every time you go to a restaurant?
Sometimes.
They might
How
have
many
seen him
times do you
off
see-
screen.
Jack Burger King when you go to Burger King.
Well,
Burger King Steen.
I
don't-
have only seen Ronald McDonald once.
I
You know who's always there? Chuck and Gene at a Illuminati Brothers Pizza.
That's true. But they're too cheap to hire employees. They got to save all their extra
They
money
don't
for
believe in-
schemes and the global conspiracy.
And chemtrails.
So Bender decides to make amends with his friends after he's found his.
After he refuses any alcohol because he doesn't want any poison, thank you.
Oh yeah, he had just high viscosity mineral oil, right? Is that it?
Yes,
Yeah.
but again, breaking the logic of the series, Bender needs alcohol to function properly. That was established like way back in episode 2.
Yeah.
Because when he stopped
it's true. I
drinking,
thought
he
about
got
that.
like the rusty pits
Yeah.
and the weird face.
And he gets the
But
5
what
o'clock
does
restaurant.
oil
Yeah.
do to metal? It keeps it,
Okay,
Clean,
but,
cools, and lubricates.
but that kind of oil, is that going to be as volatile and flat? Well, I don't know. I guess
My
it depends on the
assumption
purpose. Yeah.
is that mineral oil does the same thing that alcohol does. It just doesn't. Although if he doesn't drink alcohol, that's when he gets drunk, right?
Yep.
Never mind. I don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know. Also, dumb joke, the prayer ending with 2 with the binary
Oh yeah,
thing.
yeah. That was
I kind of like that because it's almost like later on in the show, Bender has a nightmare and it's all in binary.
Oh,
that was
it's
funny.
all zeros and ones, and I think there was a 2.
Yeah, but that was different because there's not supposed to be one, and then
Right. No, listen though. The 2 in the prayer
Yeah.
for me is like God.
the impossibility
Because
okay.
you have to have faith that there's
yeah.
a 2.
Yeah, okay.
Because there isn't
I was
a
just
2.
gonna say that. Yeah, that's all right. That works then.
That's good thinking. I didn't think about that.
I
Yeah,
spent way too much time thinking about this episode that
we
I
spent
hate.
way too much time
Yeah.
in Catholic school.
Yeah, there's
that too.
They wouldn't be talking about binary code, though.
I had to learn
I don't
how to
know.
program
We-
in Catholic school.
Yeah, we got educated in other stuff.
I don't know what
besides how to
language it
stone
was. I assume
pregnant
it was
women
basic.
and-
Oh, and that reminds me, when they're in the church, in the Robotology Church of Robotology, above the altar it says 10 sin, 20 go to hell. And I was
Yeah.
like, I get
I
that
missed that.
because I
I
had to
didn't
learn
see
how to
that.
program BASIC when I was in junior
That was a
high.
joke in the second episode or third episode
In the
Fry moves
when the
in
robot
with-
arms, when they had it was like
when he moves into
a-
Bender's closet.
an
Yeah.
embroidered pattern of 10
Home.
home,
Oh, yeah.
20 sweet, something go to 1 or go to 10.
Right.
It's Hermes made another green snake in the sugarcane thing, which I just
that turned into Hermes' catchphrase of just saying like foghorn, leghorn, but Jamaica. Related.
Yeah. No, I like it because it's just such a throwaway thing. I don't know if he continues to do that, but
he makes jokes like that all the time.
Yeah, then it turns into his thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Hermes is the real unappreciated bureaucrat of this whole universe, and I feel his pain. Then there's a big Slurm
Says
truck.
the guy who used to work in a financial aid office.
Yeah,
big Slurm truck drives by.
Oh, you Slurm.
And there was a Slurm can on the spaceship when they were coming back.
You can't fight Big Slurm.
From the Sicily 8.
And I like that when they bring up
hey
mainstream
guys, this
religions,
is
it's
Tommy, hijacking the podcast right now from an undisclosed location. Dan and Pete start talking about some book stuff, and it gets really boring. And Portia and I's eyes glazed over, and so I want to take the time to thank everyone for listening to the podcast that we've been doing. When we've been taping them, we've actually been banking them up. So when you're hearing a podcast come out, we've already taped that weeks prior. So as far as answering anyone from social media or text and everything like that, I'm going to take the time to do that now with read some text messages and play a couple voicemails from our buddy John that left a voicemail a couple weeks ago. But so let me play that because Dan and Pete talk about boring stuff. Then we'll get back to the podcast. Here's our buddy John real quick.
Hey, this is John Kelman. Love the episode that I'm on. No, the other ones are good too. Anyways, I'm just kidding. So this phone call thing's pretty cool, huh, guys? Phones, the future, podcasts. Anyway, yeah. Hey, have me back on the show because it was fun and it was cool. And okay, love you guys. Bye.
Then he left two more after that. I'll play those real quick.
Hey, John K again. Hey, you guys need a Twitter account, I think. That would be cool. For the podcast. Okay, that's all. Bye. Oh my God, it's John K again. Okay, so I forgot that you already have a Twitter account, and I already followed it. Anyway, okay, love you guys. Bye.
And of course, that Twitter account is at slurmcastpod. Finally, I'm going to read one text message we got from somebody. Michelle B. said, "Hi, you're all white guys who sound the same. Who keeps pronouncing the name of the show Futurama instead of Futurama? It's weird and annoying." Well, Michelle, that's Pete. He can't seem to pronounce the show correctly, despite being called out several times. Well, let's get back to the podcast. I'm sure you didn't miss much.
Yeah. Start with like pattern recognition.
This weekend I read Terminator Genesis, and by that I mean I watched it on Amazon Prime.
Which was way better than I thought it was.
Tom and I both watched it yesterday for the first time.
It's
just coincidentally, not bad.
No, it's
couple
fun.
plot holes.
Yeah.
Fun action movie.
Yeah, totally.
Did the Terminator have a seemingly limitless chest cavity that he could like pump beer out of or make popcorn squirts?
No, some of them are made of liquid metal. When you watch that, you're like, how does that happen? Like, anyways.
I don't think I've ever seen Terminator 2. In fact, I don't know if I've seen Terminator 1.
Oh, God. You know what? I don't care how many Necromancer books you've read or whatever you were talking about.
No, we're not going to talk about the Necronomicon. Dan and I talked about that this weekend already.
Look, I'm really glad that we have taken
Neil
this
Town Stevenson can eat it.
to a new level
the Baroque
of
cycle.
Literature that I'm not familiar with, but I'm glad that
we're
Dan is
inciting
here
nerd rage. It's gonna reflect in our clicks and
you know how many
comments.
hate listens you're gonna get because of this?
Have you seen Predator and Predator 2? I mean,
I saw Predator. Because I am a sexual tyrannosaurus.
I don't know if I want to be friends with you anymore. Can we get together this weekend and watch the first two Terminator movies?
The first one is a damn near a
You know what,
movie.
Pete? I will still be your friend if you haven't seen Predator 2 because I'm not shallow and I don't care what movies you've seen or haven't seen.
I get the gist.
Did you watch the Futurama episode that we're talking about?
I did.
Then good, we're friends.
I even took notes on it that my iPad auto-corrected my notes into oblivion on. It still doesn't recognize Futurama when I start a new note for it. It goes Future
Is it because
A?
you keep pronouncing it wrong? Is that
Yeah.
why?
Oh my God! Thank you for bringing that up. It drives me nuts that you call it Futurama.
What should I call it?
Futurama.
Whatever.
Dude, seriously, it drives me crazy every time.
I haven't noticed this at all.
I noticed.
Are you
And
kidding?
I'm only 2 episodes in because that's like.
Oh, it's been killing, but I thought it was like a cute thing. I like that Pete. I mean, says.
No, it is.
Why haven't
Oh.
we gotten thousands and thousands of letters about
Yeah.
this
It's
yet?
like the only adorable thing about Pete, really.
The
rest of it's just bitterness and cold.
I like my A's hard, like my eggs.
Your flat A's.
Yeah.
Because you're from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes. Originally.
Me too.
So who's putting on airs then, Dan?
Whatever.
Excuse me, it's Futurama.
Not Futurama.
It's a potato wrapped inside a tomato. Oh.
I mean, the show is called Futurama.
And just in case you're wondering if that's just mine and Dan's opinion.
Oh, are you referring to the OED?
They say
Go look up what the OED is first, because you probably don't know that
the title
reference.
of the show on the show at different times. For example,
Futurama is brought to you by Thompson's Teeth, the only teeth strong enough to eat other teeth.
Here's the thing. They can't even get the rules of their internal universe together, so I'm not going to respect them as an authority on how to say the name of their
you're
show.
still in season 1.
Yeah.
It's a little early to be complaining.
I'm going to
about
be
rules.
saying Futurama for the next 121 episodes.
I've been calling it Autorama this whole time.
Yeah, okay, exactly.
Trump Trapezoid. How scary was that? That's popped up in this episode.
I
It's
saw
not a
that too.
trapezoid either.
What?
It wasn't
Oh,
a
and then it wasn't a
No,
trapezoid.
yeah,
it was a
yeah.
rhombus, wasn't it? No? I don't know.
know.
shapes.
Hey, rhombus.
Isn't that like the
Oh, tell
ro-
us, Professor.
A
Vacuum
rhombus
cleaner?
is
the robot vacuum
a
cleaner?
polygon with uneven sides, I believe, possibly requiring 4 sides. A trapezoid is 2 parallel sides on a polygon and 2 sides that are at an angle.
Oh my God! So many times during this podcast, I wish
You were dead.
I
I know.
paid
Me too. I
attention
wish
to
you were
wasn't here
here
anymore. I wish it was like a choose your own adventure podcast, and when somebody starts talking, it's like push 1 if you want to listen to Pete and Dan talk about nerd things like books, or do you want to talk?
Talk about not nerd things. Like this
Like-
animated
like this-
series about science fiction.
Let's talk about going to Atlantic City then to find some
look,
sleeves.
Wait,
Yeah.
Can we talk about how
absolutely.
shitty Bender's friends are?
Which friends?
Fry.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Lula?
You mean
Yeah,
the Planet
I
Express
thought the
crew
same
or his
thing.
drug
Here's-
buddies?
No,
No.
his-
Here, let me.
yes,
Let me.
yes.
Let me. So, Bender has found peace in which he is able to overcome his addiction, and granted,
and be a
he's-
nicer person.
He's
Oh, if you can swear all you want.
He
You
overcomes
You can
his
say
horrible addiction.
crackers,
Stop.
boobies,
No.
my pants, whatever, Go
Well,
ahead.
that's horrible. Like, no, he finds a way to overcome his demons. Granted, he's unbearable to be around, right? But he's found happiness. He's found peace, and they just want their old Bender back. So they start feeding him booze and
Yeah.
hookers and gambling, and they don't care that he's happy. All they want is their Bender.
But is he
Fiddlesticks
happy?
to that. That's what I say.
Is he actually happy?
Yes.
He's a born again.
He was.
Yeah, well,
I thought he was
you know what?
legitimately happy.
That is an interesting question because I
okay.
once
Yeah,
dated
all right,
someone
yeah.
who was born again, and she put on an air of being happy. I have never bought it.
I wonder if they all figured at some point he'd give it up, and they're like, "We're not going to deal with this in the interim, so let's just short circuit this whole thing and move on."
And they didn't have to do it. They didn't like try that hard. They just kind of like.
They didn't have to try that hard. They took him there. They were like, "Come
So
on,
Hooker
just
Bot
come in." And
5000?
then all of a sudden, he's on the Hooker Bot 5000. What was
At the power strip.
yeah? And what did he
She
say?
has a heart of gold.
What did he say when those robots don't? You can see their casings.
Oh yeah,
or
they don't. They
wear
don't. You can see their circuits.
Yeah. So he goes in and he's already like up there smoking cigars and drinking and hanging out with the hookers and strippers and stuff. Where does that take us to? Oh, he takes off his symbol of robotology and throws it into the dip or whatever that was.
And that reminded me of a movie. There's a scene where something like that happens in a movie.
And it
I
beeps and it goes. Yeah, that was definitely a reference to something, but I don't know what it was either. Or it might have been that we've just watched this show way too many times.
So they go to Robot Hell, Leela and Fry, and Nibbler, who's walking around on a leash.
Yeah.
That seemed very random to me that he was there. I guess it was just kind of a plot device.
He's her pet, and he can smell stuff.
But there was a indentation in the ground of Bender when they were outside the hotel room.
And it looked like there was lots of fire and brimstone and ash.
Yeah.
And so if Bender is that heavy, why? Because Fry drags Bender out to work from the Sparky's den.
You can't see this, but I'm putting my head in my hands. Oh God.
Yeah, but that's in the same episode.
There's a little thing called storytelling.
Was it that
I think you're not picking up on?
Was it that the robot devil superheated Bender as he was pulling him? Maybe he melted the floor underneath him.
I thought it was something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, then why is the robot devil whipping Bender? What effect?
Because he's the robot devil.
Right. But hitting a piece of metal with a piece of leather, cord, wire, whatever
you don't know
it was.
what it's made of.
Yeah, how do you know that he doesn't have pain sensors?
Because he's a robot.
How do you know he doesn't have a textile?
He was enjoying being in the hot tub earlier before he was taken to Robot Hell.
Because he was in the hot tub.
Data had sex with Tasha Yar. Like, you can't say, and that's a couple hundred years in the future. You can't say anything about what robots are doing 1,000 years into the future.
People are having sex with robots now. It doesn't mean the robots are enjoying it. Yeah, I just blew your mind.
Horchie's face
you ought to read Vice.
You're hit the look. I think mine does.
Every fourth article that Vice posts is about people f***ing robots. So maybe just follow that on Facebook and get caught up with the rest of the world. But then they go into that musical number, which
I like that song.
Oh, of course you do.
I like that.
You like it because the fucking Beastie Boys are in it.
No, that was the worst part of it. Like,
with their jars on or without, I can't even remember.
No, because
they were
without
the heads in the jar.
They were without because he puts his tongue on the thing and scratches it
on Bender's hard drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Bender functions without his memory. Oh no.
Also,
it's
you
robot hell.
You can't scratch a hard drive or whatever. So
at least
you can scratch a hard drive.
There was supposed to be a whole other verse.
I mean,
of that song.
not like scratching like a record.
There's supposed to be the
That's what I
6th
meant.
level of hell, and they cut it out for time. Thank God there wasn't another verse of that song.
Oh,
so you're being tormented with up-tempo singing and dancing. We've all got so much. There's so much untapped rage at this table right now. Because this was such a crap episode.
I know. Up until going into watching this episode, like I knew it's not a strong episode, and I just was like watching it to try to be able to defend it and be everything.
You're like, oh,
and then
I love it. I want
to the song, and I just was like, and then the rest of it is just.
I don't even think.
Okay, so the golden fiddle clause, that's kind of clever.
I thought that was funny. Yeah.
And the fact that Leela's like, I play the drums. How different can it be? And then bashes them over the head with it after making some
Time for the drum
noise.
solo.
Yeah, but then Bender rips robot wings off a robot.
An iron butterfly.
Is that what it was?
Yes, it's an iron butterfly.
Butterflies don't sting though. Anyway, he puts the wings on somehow, and then he can fly. And that just drove me friggin' crazy. Like, give him some rockets or something, because it was like flappity flap wings. That somehow
they're heavy metallic wings, but he flew with them. Who cares?
Heavy metallic wings. How did they attach to his
Why
body?
did that?
Was it with magnets? Because if it was with magnets, Bender would have gone
go
crazy.
around his antenna and spin around because it was funny and it looked cool.
Because it was supposed to look like an angel.
Pete, when did you start hating stories?
Years ago.
All in all, I don't hate this episode as much as you guys do. I think it's okay.
I'm pretty indifferent
one other thing,
about it.
like you guys,
I think I'm gonna quit watching the show now.
This season, the first season of the show, I think is weak, but it's not bad. It's just the weakest season of the show.
This is also technically.
Let me rephrase that. Hang on, let me rephrase that. The weakest season of the first 4. I have not seen much of the show past the first 4 seasons. Like. When it came back, I know, Horchie, we watched it a little bit.
We were living together, and we were watching
and
the
I
new
remember
ones,
being like, nah.
It was a fun return, but it wasn't, the original. It started off pretty strong at first.
Yeah,
the first couple seasons.
I feel like the first 4 seasons are really solid. but this one is the weakest, and this episode is the worst episode in the weakest season.
That reminds me, when this show premiered in 1999, were you watching it the first season as it was on, or did you come into it later?
I feel like I watched some of the. I feel like I watched the first episode when it aired, but I don't remember. I never watched it after that, and I don't really have a memory of watching it anymore. But I used to live with our friend Lewis, and he like when the DVDs came out, he bought them all. And
do you remember when you had disposable income, like before children? And you'd be like, I'm going to spend it on media that'll be obsolete within 5 years.
I mean, but I bought them on DVD too, like after I didn't live with Lewis anymore. But like he would watch that show over and over and over
again. It was back when we couldn't stream any show we wanted to watch.
And that was also when there was only 4 seasons of it. So you remember this? How like Lewis was all about Futurama for like 4 years.
So it's
straight.
Futurama.
It's not. But
so like when
Thompson
I lived with
Steve.
Lewis, I actually got annoyed with the show a little bit, and then like after we moved out, for whatever reason, I gave it another try, and I was like, oh, this show is fucking genius. And I have the first 4 seasons on DVD and the movies, and that's how I came to love it.
All right.
How are your kidneys doing?
They're gone.
You know what that means.
So, well, real quick, on Netflix, this ends the first season.
Yeah.
On Netflix, this is the first episode of the second season.
No, this is the last episode of the first season.
Is it?
I watched it on Netflix.
Oh, you know what? It advanced to the next one. That's why I was thinking that.
It is. There are still more episodes of the first season that, like, on the DVD, like it's volume 1 goes up to Fry in the Slurm Factory. So that's such a I don't know if we should say that we're going to. Should we? The next episode
DVD-wise,
starts
it's not. So
the
I
second
don't know.
season, but
I mean,
it doesn't. It doesn't start.
But for our listener that's listening along to this and watching it,
listener,
you know, Steve,
which classification is going to?
I know you're out there, Steve.
Anger more people. Let's use that one.
The Netflix one. Probably.
Anger more people.
Yes.
Oh,
by generating a reaction, even if it's negative.
Let's say every
create...
episode is season 1.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah, this is one long continuum.
Season 1, episode 1.
Every episode is
season 1, episode 1.1. Season episode 1.1.1.
Star date 7/4. July 3rd. Or no, I mixed that up.
Yeah, that's not even the right date.
Have you ever seen Star Trek?
No, I was doing the Zap Brannigan thing. Where Kiff, what's the?
I don't know if I've seen any of those movies either.
January 4th. January 4th. .2.
When Bender was on that wheel, it could have just landed on a Pleasant Massage, and the whole episode could have played out different.
Yeah.
Why didn't he use his antenna to slow it down and stop it?
I don't think that's how his antenna works.
And he didn't even know what was going on.
I think his antenna works a number of different ways because he's a magical robot.
He didn't even.
Oh my
Bender
God!
Didn't even die.
My
and go
phone
to hell.
does a bunch of different stuff. Is it Magic Pete? Ooh!
But it does them all in a predictable way. Bender is the Bagger Vance.
Look at me! I'm calling a car to come pick me up. Whoa,
That's racist.
Magic.
It's not racist. I just said he was magical. I'm just glad that we've moved on from divisive topics like race to get into religion being, made up hooey.
Yeah, that was fun.
That'll be
I think
great.
that'll come up on a couple other episodes.
Okay. We can talk about Bender's magical wings again.
They never come up again, actually.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, because they weren't his. He got them from the
Yeah,
Iron
he
Butterfly.
grabbed them and threw them on and flew away. I don't.
Okay,
what's your problem?
How did he throw them on?
Do you know how stories work?
There is a beginning,
a middle,
a
slow down,
denouement,
and
if you do
twist.
it right.
Yeah.
And then a conclusion.
And then a Shyamalan.
So in an episode where Bender goes to hell, you're mad that there's like this weird Deus Ex Machina kind of thing going on that gets them out of hell.
Well, the conceit is that the hell is some sort of constructed. It's not a magical realm. It's a amusement park in New Jersey that's fallen into disrepair.
No, that's just how you enter into Robot
Yeah,
Hell.
it's underground.
It's underground.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're in New Jersey and you go underground, you're still in New Jersey.
And you're in a magical...
No. You're under New Jersey.
you're within the confines of the border. If you're looking at a 2-dimensional or even a 3-dimensional
Stop trying
map,
to put me in a box.
A boombox.
Box.
Let me tell you about being in Hershey's boombox.
I saw nothing in
Bass will knock your socks off.
I saw nothing in Robot Hell to suggest that it was, anything. In fact, other than the lapses in the physical laws of this universe, I've never seen anything that was really magical.
Except for the golden fiddle that sounded amazing when it was played by the Robot Devil.
Exactly.
The Robot Devil could have been programmed.
Yeah, it wasn't
to play
magical.
it well.
He was just, he could.
You could
Wouldn't
program a computer to
Robot
play
Devil-
chess.
Wouldn't the golden
So you
fiddle
could-
weigh hundreds of pounds and
Yeah,
sound
so
like
Thousands
crap?
of pounds.
Yeah.
Yes, but if it was constructed well, it would still resonate, and a robot would theoretically have the physical
The capability,
to hold it as if it were a light wooden instrument and play the strings with a bow, because it wouldn't, it'd have the strength to do that. If it weighs several hundred pounds, why could Leela pick it up and play it badly and then bash the robot over the head?
Magic.
Exactly.
That's
I
my
don't
point.
like mixing science and magic.
You can find you can find our blah 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 blah. You can find our Twitter account at Slurmcast @slurmcastpod. .Twitter, is that what happens?
Slurmcast.
You can find me on Twitter at
Slurmcastpod.
You can find us on Instagram.
Say your name again. I overtalked you.
No, it's fine. It's nobody's listening to you. Everybody's listening to me at Horchie.
That makes a lot of sense.
On Twitter, it's a Twitter gram on it's Slurmcast thing.
Did you start an Instagram account yet?
No, Tom did.
We have one.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
posted
also
from it. I follow
at
it.
Slurmcastpod.
Slurmcastpod.
Slurmcastpod at gmail.com.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you want us to tell people your Twitter account?
Yeah, sure. It's SuperDan042.
Dan, thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
It was nice.
I would like to be back for an episode I don't hate.
Let's talk about books some more and annoy these two. What's that 42 mean? Ask me about Purple Rain.